Okay, so welcome. We're live and thank you for coming to this session of 20-minute transformation where we take one shift in 20 minutes that's going to make a big impact. I understand that just like me, you have plenty of things to do and no longer do we have the bandwidth to be able to go on a session for an hour or more and learn all this stuff and then try and go away and do something with it. So I want to continue to just give these short, sharp strategies that are easy and able to be implemented straight away so that you can see fast results. If this is the first time you're joining me, my name is Grant Herbert. I'm the founder and global managing partner for the Professional Services Leadership Academy. And I love to help people just like you to be able to have more influence, make a bigger income and impact without burning out. All right, so what's the 20-minute transformation this week? We're talking about going from do to through. How to get more done as a professional services leader without the overwhelm and burnout. Just somewhere below you, wherever you're watching this, you will have a link, if you haven't grabbed it already, to the workbook so you can follow along, or you can just take some notes if you haven't got it and fill it in a little bit later. I want to make this something that you get action out of, not just a heap of notes. So here's the thing. You and I have a lot of things to get done, and we have a lot of things to do ourselves. And depending where you are in your career, you might be doing it all on your own, or you might have some other people that you can do it with. And I find that this is one of the most challenging shifts that every leader needs to make, because you've got to let go of some stuff so that you can get the results about or from what it is I'm going to talk about. All right. So in the 9 crucial shifts, we are dealing with the results area. All right. So it's part of people leadership. And the challenge here is to shift from do, where you're doing everything yourself, which is really what the professional leadership area is all about. Your performance, positioning, and productivity is all about you getting results from your efforts. This is about making that transition, making that shift from getting all your results from just yourself to getting results through other people. And there's a number of reasons why we find that difficult to do. So why is it that we don't just pass stuff, give things to other people to do? There's a number of reasons. And they're very counterintuitive, because on one hand, we say to ourselves, I'm just so busy. And on the other hand, we hold on to things that we could give to someone else. And the biggest reason why we don't do that is a lack of trust. Trust in our own ability to delegate, trust in the other people to get it done, to do it in a way that's going to represent us well. And therefore, there's a lack of confidence in being able to, to do that. Am I able to get as much done if I've got to do it with other people? It's just easier to do it myself. How many times have you said that to yourself? So what we want to do here is shift to through. We want to pass the baton, and we want to do it in a way that might be a little bit different to what you have been taught before. We want to develop that trust between us and our people in being able to do it this way through actually developing them in the skills that they need so that they can get it done. And that confidence then will be up for both of us. So to kick this off, I want to put that in a model. I want to show you the 3 areas that we want to focus on for that whole shift. We're going to deal with one of those areas today, and down the track, we'll do the others as well. If it's something that's a little bit more important and you don't want to wait, contact me and we can work out how we can do that with you and your firm. But I want to talk about a blueprint for getting results. We all need to get results. We need to get more done in less time. That's just the way the world seems to be right now. So the 3 areas that you need to focus on, to give this some context, is your influence. How much influence have you got over the people that you're working with? Now, I'm not talking about an influencer who has 1 million followers on Instagram and takes silly photos of themselves and does crazy dances and all that sort of stuff and monetize clicks and all those things that they do. No, I'm talking about having influence in a way that people want to follow you. People look up to you and look at you and go, yeah, I can do that with them. So influence is really important. The second skill area that you need to develop is the area of coaching. Being able to shift from that performance management mentality alone to performance coaching, to being able to take individuals on a journey of self-discovery and development. And then the third area that we're going to talk about today is delegation. And in fact, we're going to talk about delegation in a totally different way as we get into this. So when you have influence and you coach to get people to have the skills they need to get the jobs done, that's going to help to build trust. The reason is people feel valued when you develop them. People feel valued when you take them on a journey and you are with them and you're helping them. And the way that they respond to you as someone who has influence with them helps to build your trust. When your coaching skills are where they need to be and that whole methodology, and by the way, I'm not talking about you being a performance coach. I'm talking about you using the method of coaching in the way that you are developing and leading your people. When you have those skills and the delegation skills, this is when you can have a transfer of things that you're currently doing to other people. So we've got a more shared agency around getting things done. And then having those delegation skills and methodologies in place with people that you influence, that's going to give you a different scenario around your time. Now, I'm not talking about time management. I don't believe in time management. It's not something you can manage. I believe that you can manage expectations, environment, and energy, but time's not something that you can manage. We can measure time, we can build time, but we're not able to manage it. We're only going to get 24 hours in a day. If we go to Mars, I think there's 28 hours there. I think we'd probably misuse those extra 4 hours anyway. No, I'm talking about the fact that it takes an investment of certain chunks of our days to do what I'm going to be talking about today. And it is then returned tenfold. So influence, coaching, and delegation. As I said, let's work on delegation today. All right. So you might be sitting there saying, yeah, okay, this is all good, Grant, but how do you do it? That's what I'm going to show you right now. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to change our thinking from delegation. I use the word delegation because that's what the profession uses. That's what we all talk about. However, for me, it's a little bit old school. And it's something that none of us are good at. You know, you ask anyone, they go, oh, no, I'm not really good at delegating. And as I said, there's reasons why you don't, but the skills themselves, for me, I was very good in my corporate career in being able to just go to someone who was working for me or with me and dump something on their desk and say, hey, this is what I need done. And I did that on the run while I was flying off to something else that I had to do. All right. So it doesn't really work all that well. So the first thing that we need to do is shift our mindset and realize that even though we are delegating, we are in effect developing our people. And when we develop people who can do what we do, then we don't need to do it anymore. When I realized that and stopped holding other people back from having the skills that I had, because I felt if they did that, they could take my job or the one above them. When I got over all that sort of stuff, and when I realized this, I thought, yeah, I'm the one holding myself back from taking the next step in my career, because if there's no one to take my spot, then it's not going to happen. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is I show you how is give you the reason why we need to do that. And also shift that mindset from it being delegation to developing. All right. So there's a 5-part process that I've laid out here for you. And the first thing that you need to do when you are delegating is get buy-in. This is a step that I always used to miss and most people miss. What we do is, if I delegate something, I just tell them what to do. No, the first thing you do is help them to understand why they're doing it. Why do I need them to do it, etc. They need to see how it fits in the big picture. And more importantly, they need to see why it's important for them. And when you are doing it as a part of their development, that makes the buy-in a lot more effortless, because they can see that I'm learning to do this and they're giving me a chance to do this rather than they're telling me to do this, if that makes sense. All right. So the delegation process itself, then we've got buy-in. The next thing is to actually start delegating or by developing. You'll understand as I go through. So the first time they do something new, and by the way, we're talking about delegating a task here. There's 3 levels of delegation. We've got tasks, we've got projects, and then we've got the whole methodology, responsibility, whatever it is. So a task is a single thing or a couple of things or whatever that needs to be done for something. Then that's a bit different to the overall project, and it's different to running the whole actual division that does that or whatever. So we're at that first level. So the first time, get them to watch you. So you do whatever it is that you're doing with them closely watching. And as they're watching, there's a dialogue of what they noticed, what they need clarity on, and what have you. Then the second time they do that and or a similar type task, which has got different content but the same context, you do it together, and they're doing some things and you're doing some things, right? So this is together. And they got some involvement, you've got some involvement, and the best way of doing it is them having more involvement than you, so that you're sort of like weaning yourself off them needing you there. And once again, there's a dialogue going on. There's some reflective questioning back. So what is it we've got to do here? And making sure that you understand that they know what it is and they've assimilated what it is. The third time, they do it and you watch them. And I'm not talking about standing over them, watching them. What I'm talking about is you're available. You make yourself available if they've got questions, if they get stuck, and you're there to help them to go through the process. So what we're doing here is it's an ascension. So step by step, they're getting more proficient at what it is that you are delegating to them. And then the key to that going beyond just being one little time that they do that is continuing to have an environment based on feedback. So each time they're doing things, you want to be able to help them to get more confidence in themselves by telling them what they've done well. Share any insights of how they could do things differently to improve, and constantly give them feedback so that they are incrementally embedding that new skill, behavior, task, whatever it is, into their brain, into their hardwiring. So get buy-in, let them watch you do it together. Then they do it with you being the support, and then they take it on from there. And you continue to provide them feedback along the way. All right. So what did you notice in that? Firstly, there were some shifts in mindset. You have to change your thinking for this to work. It's not about, it's going to take me time. I don't have time to teach other people what to do. No, it's, I need to invest time that's going to exponentially return tenfold or more. So I'm going to invest the time here to develop people so that they take away things that I can then be operating on my genius, on the things that are my highest payoff activities or whatever, instead of doing those things. Changing the mindset around delegation to being developing people. And developing people is a key way of them feeling valued. And when people feel valued, they stay. One of the biggest challenges still in the professional services arena around the world, everywhere I go, is the attraction and retention of great people. So this whole process allows you to retain them. All right. So just like every time that we do this, there's 3 areas that you want to look at here. So I want you to take a little bit of time just before you go on to do the next thing and work out, what are the insights for you? What are the key things that came out of this for you? What were the things that really got your attention, right? And then more importantly, now that you know that, how are you going to get value out of those insights? What's the first steps that you need to do to implement? It could be, who do I need to communicate this with? So the first thing that I would do if this was me is I would get my close-knit team together and I would explain that we're going to do delegation differently. We're going to, whatever it is, however you need to explain it, so that when you start doing things differently, people know why. So who do you need to communicate that with? Then what's the first step? It could be, what's one thing that I'm currently doing that is consuming energy that I could use somewhere else to a greater advantage for myself, my team, and the firm? And who is the person, or who are the people that I need to involve in the development / delegation process to take those over? Who am I going to pass the baton on to? So find something this week that you can do that with. And then the third area here is for you to think about, what's the impact going to be? Imagine 3 months from now, when you've started developing people, shifting some of the things that you now do or that you need to continually redo or be involved in because of a lack of skill and confidence. What's the impact on you when you're not needing to do those anymore? And what's the impact on your day, on your practice, on your firm? So we've been talking about a shift from do to through. And it is one of the biggest roadblocks that I see in this part of the people's career. However, it's not just about people who have a team right now. The best time to learn this stuff is now. even if you don't have a team or people that you delegate with, because see, you're on the other side of it. So you understand the process, and indeed you can influence your partner or whoever it is that you're working for if they haven't seen this stuff. So that's another 20 minutes, one shift with a big impact. I'd love to hear from you. Place down below to put some comments. Connect with me if you've got any questions. If you want to take this further and talk to me about how we could do these things in your firm, let me know. But I'll be back again in 2 weeks with your next 20-minute transformation. So have an amazing rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you then.